particular.
You know, Todd, maybe you can help me out here. I was trying to think over the weekend about any, former CEO. I mean, you got an actor like Schwarzenegger, but any real former CEO that really has been successful in politics, I honestly could not think of anyone, Todd.
Yeah, it's a good question, Cheryl, and off the top of my head, I can't either. But one thing that we do know is that we have an administration right now that is anti-business. And like I said before, the rhetoric that comes out of Washington, it continues to be anti-business. You know, you have voters out there. The economy is front and center, number one. Well, obviously, with Homeland Security, that's starting to come up and creep in, but it's probably too late for a lot of candidates right now. But you have voters that are going to vote with their wallets, and they were promised a lot of change 2 years ago, and they're not seeing it right now. So here you are looping everybody, all of these politicians from Washington, they're all impacted tomorrow. And I think that this is a signal. Voters are angry. You're going to have record turnouts tomorrow. You're going to have a lot of people that are engaged and are involved, which is great for the United States. But ultimately, though, you have these people people are angry, and they know that if they're going to continue to be ineffective, they're going to be out of a job and on the unemployment line.
You know, Christian, I don't want to say that none of these CEOs are going to be elected because, heck, I have no idea. But at the same time,
Sure.
I mean, we are seeing a little bit of from the latest Fox News polls, we're seeing a little bit of a tightening of the race, in particular in California with Whitman and Brown. Do you think that what folks are saying in the polls and maybe what they're going to do in the ballot box tomorrow are going to be a little different?
Well, I do. I don't think it's going to really impact the races that we're talking about today. And Cheryl, back to your previous point, we have had a prominent politician who's had a business background, an MBA as his graduate degree, and then some professional experience as a CEO, and that's George Bush. And we see where that got us. So I clearly think that people know that what you get when you have business executives in office is not exactly the efficiencies and good governance that folks claim that you get from the corporate sector.
I don't think Dennis is buying that either.
Christian, did you just say that government is more efficient than business? You didn't just say that, did you, sir?
What I said was we have done and tried having someone who's primarily come from a business background and entrusted them with leading the public sector at the very high office of the President of the United States, and that's really why we're in this financial mess, this economic mess that we're talking about.
Completely untrue. Completely untrue.
You'd agree the government is inefficient, right?
How is it untrue?
Listen.
Are you saying that George Bush didn't primarily bring a business background to the White House?
And George W., 96 months when he was in office, he had 22 of those 96 in recession. He inherited the recession that Bill Clinton, your other celebrity-obsessed Democrat that was in the White House, he was the one that brought on that recession. We had to enter a war that we didn't ask for on September 11th. And based on all the spending that had to take place on the defense side, we did fall into rough times. But you are continuing to blame that. That keeps coming out of the White House right now. You're in week 8 at halftime, my friend, and you continue to go back to the George W. argument as if that's the reason why we're in this situation right now. It's personal accountability.
Well, it absolutely is the reason. We can quibble all we want about how Obama has dealt with the recession, but to distance George W. Bush from causing the recession, from presiding over its inception, is complete lunacy.
And when is it President Obama's fault? Please tell me when it's Obama's fault that we have 9.6% unemployment, that we have a 1.7% or 2%, GDP rate right now. Tell me when it's his fault.
Okay, let me bring in Dennis and Jim into this debate, gentlemen, and I'm having a great time with both of you. But let me share the floor because at the same time, if you do look at the latest Fox News polling from this morning, a lot of the states that are key battleground states, guys, it does show that it is a kind of an anti-Obama mood, and they're frustrated about, of course, the economy, Jim.
Right. Well, you get the feeling that 2 years ago, the people felt that the Bush administration had neglected the middle class and was favoring the rich. And here we are, less than 2 years later, and people are feeling that Obama is too far to the left, that we made this switch from the right, but we went too far to the left, and I think the country wants to get back to the center, and that's what we're dealing with. And a lot of the races, though, as Dennis said, are about individual personalities, individual dynamics, but the country wants to get down the middle, and we always do sort of get it right, and I think we're just making a mid-course adjustment here.
With Obama, there was always a gap between the man and the policies, and I think that we voted for the man because we liked him. It made us feel good to vote for change.
Yeah.
We thought, I just hope his policies won't go too wild. Now, 2 years later, we're saying we don't like his policies, and this vote tomorrow is going to be a big vote against Democratic policies. He can save this if he wants.
Right. You're right. And you know what, Todd? I was looking at the #1 issue. The latest Wall Street Journal poll shows that it's health care, and it's dissatisfaction, Todd, with health care.
That's right, because keep in mind, that was one of the first things that he did. I mean, other than going around the world and apologizing for the United States, but here we had Obamacare shoved down our throats, $1 trillion. He was telling businesses that you have to offer health care or you're going to be fined. So what has happened now? Now we have a recession. We're in the middle of it. We're stuck in quicksand. And now you have businesses that can't hire because they can't afford the health care coverage. But yet Obama doesn't want to stay away from that. He thinks this is great. Let's give everybody health care and we'll take care of the world.
But
it doesn't work that way. And Christian, you know it doesn't work that way.
And yet, Christian, again,
Todd,
I go back to my main question here, is that they're not looking to bring in former CEOs who may have the business acumen to deal with what is going on with healthcare and where we need to go with healthcare in the next few years.
You know, healthcare didn't cause the recession. Healthcare has not driven the recession. To suggest otherwise is just a complete misstatement of the facts. And let's get in mind, you know, President Obama has not moved the country very far to the left at all. I completely reject that argument. And I as well reject the whole idea that it suffices to call healthcare reform Obamacare. If I were to come on this program and talk about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan as Bush's wars, you all would rightly call me on the carpet. This is not the way the country wants to see political discourse move forward. They're looking for people who are going to tell them the truth, who are going to lay out sensible, reasonable plans. And that's what this election is really all about. They feel dissatisfied with what they've gotten from both sides.
Yeah. I mean, look,
2 years
Christian,
ago,
I got to tell you, I never have discord with anything that you say, and I love having you on the show, and it's great to have you both to weigh in on this debate. Christian Dorsey, Economic Policy Institute, and, of course, the Democratic strategist, and Todd Schoenberger, Land Colt Trading Managing Director. Thanks, gentlemen.